Okay.
Make sure I have only you recording. Good. Senator, I'll be honest, I struggle sometimes to understand what happens in the Senate and how the Senate works. I do know it seems that one person has a lot of power right now, and it may not necessarily be you. It's Senator Joe Manchin. What's it like having to go to one person and say, please, please take my plan, take my idea, add it to your list of things that you have all this power about?
I actually think that all 50 senators have a vote here, and this is a bill that reflects a compromise among those 50 senators that are going to vote for the reconciliation package. It is true that Joe Manchin walked away from the bill and then came back with demands that he made. And it's also true that we don't know how Senator Sinema is going to vote. But I do think that if the bill resembles the bill we have today, a bill that cuts healthcare costs for seniors by requiring Medicare to cap out-of-pocket costs for seniors at $2,000 a year for drugs, requires Medicare to negotiate for the first time drug prices on behalf of the American people, extends important subsidies to keep insurance costs lower as a result of the Affordable Care Act, and invests $370 billion in a climate package that is the largest climate package in our history. I think that's a bill that I'm very grateful to have the chance to vote for.
Is it? I find state legislature easy to follow because it's one subject, one topic bills, and you just listed a whole bunch of stuff. Is it difficult to get people to understand what is actually in a bill when it has so many different items that and some things that you want to talk about, you want to focus on, even though they may not be the biggest thing in the bill?
Well, it is true. I mean, that sometimes I think there's really worthy criticism of bills that have 8 billion things in them. And I would say that that's a criticism I have made of Build Back Better, which was the bill that existed before this bill that had just 1 million things in it. I think it was very hard for the American people to understand. This is a lot less complicated than that. I mean, it's lowering healthcare costs for people, and it's investing in climate change, and it's reducing our deficit, and it is raising taxes on the wealthiest people in America and the largest corporations that are not now paying any taxes. That's it. That's the list.
Why aren't you more like Senator Joe Manchin, where you hold all the power in the Senate? Why isn't that your MO?
I think that my MO is to do everything I can to work for the people of Colorado, to produce results for Colorado, to represent a state that's complicated politically. It's a third Democratic, a third Republican, and a third independent. And, Joe Manchin, I think, has a completely different perspective than the one that I have, in part because he represents a state that Donald Trump won by 20 or 30 points. And that naturally has created a very different political identity than the political identity that I have, or frankly, the political identity that any other Democratic senator has.
This is going to sound like a election question, but it's not, I hope. Your majority leader, Senator Chuck Schumer, funded ads in Colorado that told us your opponent is too friendly with Democrats. Your majority leader painted him out to be like a Senator Joe Manchin. Why wouldn't I want that person in the Senate?
I don't understand your definition of a Senator Joe Manchin.
Well, someone who can work both sides of the aisle, and everyone has to come to. We could leave that part. I could leave the Joe Manchin part out of this question, that your leader painted your opponent to be too friendly with Democrats. Why wouldn't we want that person to be in the Senate instead of you?
I didn't have anything to do with those ads, but Marshall, what I would say about it is that I think that both candidates that were running in that primary are far outside the mainstream of Colorado's conventional political ideology or our thought. And I think the candidate that I have in this general election, with the positions that he's taken, is way, way outside the mainstream.
I don't know if you'll remember this. My colleague Luis De Leon asked you at a June 24th event in Colorado if you thought it was irresponsible for the majority leader to be, well, he didn't say majority leader, if it was irresponsible for the funding of those ads that elevated an election denier to perhaps give you an easier time in November, and you deflected to the gun bill that was in front of the Senate at the time. So I just want to ask again, do you think it was irresponsible for your party to elevate people who deny elections and are frankly opposite of what Democrats would support?
I guess I would just say again, I think both of them are far too extreme for the state of Colorado, and the evidence is among other things in the fact that my opponent opposes the bipartisan gun bill that you're talking about in the very question that you've asked.
But you don't think it's irresponsible to elevate election denier candidates?
I think what I would say is that I've been long said that we should reform the way our campaign finance system works, and that's what I believe.
I feel like I've asked this before. If I stopped people on the street and said, "What is Senator Bennet known for?" What should their answer be?
I think they'd say that he's known for fighting for children, that he's done that since he was the superintendent of schools, that he's continued to fight for children and working families the entire time that he's been in the Senate, that he's been fighting to protect our public lands, that he's been a leading voice on immigration and energy issues in the Congress, that he's done a good job working as a member of the Agriculture Committee to make sure that Colorado's farmers and ranchers are able to pass their farms and ranches on to their kids and their grandkids. I mean, I think there's a pretty long list at this point.
I want to ask, this is the fun one, your political ad. The hiking ad, no hat, no Camelback, no water. You're hiking, but you don't necessarily look like you're prepared to hike. So I want to ask about that. And why do politicians in Colorado have to be in the mountains for their political ads to win
Well, first
votes?
of all, if I had had a hat on at the distance that the drone was flying over my head, nobody would have known who it was. And so you'd be sitting here saying, didn't you have a stunt double in your ad? And I thought it was important and reasonable for people to be able to see what I was doing. And for the walk that I took, I certainly didn't need a water bottle. The second thing is we are blessed to live in the most beautiful state in America. And, you know, I've spent a lot of time over the years in every corner of our state, particularly or including red parts of the state where I'm never going to get a majority of the vote, where I may never get 30% of the vote, working on important water issues and land issues and forestry issues, working with farmers and ranchers, as I said earlier, as a member of the Agriculture Committee, working to protect our public lands, to make sure that our watersheds are protected because of the historic investment that we're now going to make in forestry as a result of my leadership on the relevant subcommittee. So that's why we have those two ads located in our beautiful state of Colorado.
And I will end with, how is your health?
Thank you for asking. My health is great. And as you could tell from my hiking, I wasn't out of breath, and I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. I thank you for asking. I'm really looking forward to this campaign and really looking forward to this debate because, well, I'll leave it out of the office.
No, you can say that. I have it on record now. It's happening.
No, I meant the debate, meaning the debate. I'm not saying I'm having a debate on I'm certainly looking forward to the debates. I am looking forward to the debates. But we'll figure out what they are at the right time.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
See ya.
See ya.
Good luck, Kate.
Thanks, Marshall. Good luck to you too.